I stocked the heated pool with 88 flesh-eating loaches, set the water temperature to a slow, steady rise, then spend a small fortune on 3 golden pythons, installed in the courtyard, and under the bed, a colony of black-bristled centipedes. Once everything is in place, I pack my bags for the New Year holiday, and all that's left is to sit back and wait for my ex to come crawling back. In my past life, she waited until I left for the holidays, and snuck her entire family into my villa to celebrate the new year. They didn't just sleep in my bed and crack open my finest wine. Her 2 nephews trashed every collectible figure in my study. When I demanded she answer for it, Tara livestreamed a suicide attempt to morally blackmail me, claiming I had driven her to death over a few toys. Strangers online, knowing nothing of the truth, came to despise me with a burning hatred. They vandalized my company. They pelted me with rotten eggs as I crossed the street. I stumbled trying to dodge, and a speeding car sent me flying and sent me back. The moment Tara and I break up this time, I work through the night moving every single collectible figure to my other apartment for safekeeping. Then I fill the courtyard pond with piranhas, stock the study with an enormous corn snake, and add a black tarantula for good measure. I post a metal warning sign on the front gate: dangerous animals on premises, do not enter. But I know she can't help herself. This villa is worth tens of millions. Far too tempting to resist. Plenty to show off with. She wants to spend New Year in my home? Fine. I'll make sure it's one she never forgets. Ethan, why did you change the password? I can't get in. When Tara finally corners me at my front gate. It has been 20 days since our breakup. The reason: she was checked into a hotel room with another man behind my back. I always knew she was shameless. I just didn't know the full extent of it. We're broken up. What is she doing at my door? Thank goodness I changed the code when I did. Otherwise she'd already be inside. We are done. Of course I changed the password. You are not welcome here. You don't deserve to set foot in my home. You disgust me, I say, my tone flat with contempt. If she had any sense, she'd turn and leave right now, but I know she won't. That's exactly why I said it. Ethan, we had something good. How can you be so cold? That man turned out to be married. I've already ended things with him. I already promised my sister and her 2 boys that I'd bring them here for New Year. I don't even have a place to stay. You're going home for the holidays anyway. The house will just sit empty. Can I bring my family to stay here? Tara has been to my villa before. She knows what it looks like from the outside. Unremarkable, almost plain. But inside, it's pure luxury, full smart home systems, a pond in the courtyard, a storeroom stocked with premium food and drink. They could hole up inside and feast without stepping out until the 15th day of the new year. Your housing situation is none of my concern. Your entire family could drop dead in the street and it would have nothing to do with me. None of you are welcome here. I push her aside and step through the door. The gate slams shut behind me with a heavy thud. I watch through the video doorbell. The moment she thinks I can't see her, the flattery drops from Tara's face. She glares at my gate and spits twice, her eyes burning with arrogance. I was being polite asking you. Once you're gone for the holidays, I'll pick the lock myself. This place is mine. I knew it. Watching that smug expression, I laugh. Not out of anger, but sheer excitement, because I've lived this before. I know exactly what's coming. In my past life, she pulled this same stunt, and I turned her down just the same. I assumed she'd back off, so I didn't think twice. 2 days later, I left for home. The moment I was gone, Tara called in a lockpick from her village to break in. Then she waltzed right in with her whole family and made herself at home. When neighbors asked, she told them she was my girlfriend, that we'd reconciled, and that I had personally invited them to stay. The neighbors had seen her around during our relationship. They had no reason to doubt her, so they said nothing. And Tara, greedy and foolish as she is, wasted no time. She cleared out the storeroom, cracked open my finest aged wines, worked through everything in the refrigerator, and quietly sold off every luxury item from my wardrobe. Her sister Janet stewed my 9 most prized koi fish worth a small fortune, but that wasn't the worst of it. The worst was her 2 nephews. They destroyed every single collectible on the shelves of my study, not one left intact. Many were limited editions. Some were irreplaceable. Together they represented years of dedication and over $1 million in value. When I returned after the holiday, full of good cheer, I found them still camped inside. I called the police immediately. I demanded compensation for every loss. But Tara and her divorced sister with 2 kids had nothing to offer. They screamed and rolled on the floor. We don't have money. Take our lives instead. Then, to morally blackmail me into dropping the matter, Tara took it further. She live-streamed herself cutting her wrists on my doorstep in the middle of the night. She cut too deep. She died right there at my door. Millions of strangers online, knowing only what they saw on that stream, came to hate me with a vengeance. Some trashed my company. Others pelted me with rotten eggs as I crossed the street. I stumbled trying to dodge. A car hit me at full speed. I landed in a flower bed, bones shattered. By the time the ambulance arrived, I was convulsing from blood loss. I never made it to the hospital. I hated them. I hated Tara and every last one of her family. Their greed and stupidity killed me. I thought I would vanish from this world carrying nothing but hatred. But when I opened my eyes, I was back, right before the new year, before they had broken in, before I had gone home. This time, yours truly is going to play along. They want New Year in my home? I'll give them a new year they'll carry to their graves. I call my closest friend over that very night. Together we transfer every koi to the pond at his villa for safekeeping. These fish are worth over $2 million in total. There is absolutely no way I'm letting Tara's family anywhere near them. With the koi gone, the pond looks bare. So I ring up a friend who works at an aquarium and tell him I'm looking for something with a bit more bite. Something fierce fierce, I tell him. First thing the next morning, he shows up with a large crate of piranhas and 2 massive alligator snapping turtles. Tip the piranhas straight into the pond, he says. I'll layer some floating weeds on top to keep things discreet. Keeps guests from getting a fright. These things are vicious. Catch a whiff of blood and they'll strip a goose to the bone in seconds. The big water tanks in your back courtyard are perfect for the turtles. They can go the whole winter without food and still be alive come spring. I like what I see. I ask if he has any reptile recommendations. Something to deter intruders while I'm away for the holiday. He catches on immediately. How about a corn snake? Non-venomous but absolutely enormous. Terrifying to look at. And a black tarantula. Also harmless but nightmare-inducing. A friend of mine breeds them and has more than she can handle. Say the word and I'll bring them over this afternoon. I nod. But I'm not done there. I hire a professional moving company to carefully pack up every collectible figure in my study and move them to my other property. Every item of value in the house follows. The luxury goods, the antique vases in the living room, all of it. Of course, an empty house looks suspicious. I buy several potted plants, specifically the most toxic varieties I can find, and arrange them throughout the rooms. The toiletries in the bathroom are swapped out for products long past their expiry date. The premium wines in the storeroom are replaced with counterfeit bottles of every label imaginable. Rich fools buying fake wine happens all the time, doesn't it? The premium frozen seafood is replaced with the kind of rotten fish and putrid shrimp no one would touch. They love seafood, do they? Help yourselves. Before I leave, I have a technician install over a dozen concealed cameras throughout the property. I want to see everything that happens in that house, and I want every second of it on record for the police. When everything is set, I stroll out unhurried, luggage in hand, and fix a custom engraved metal warning plate to the front gate. Dangerous animals on premises. Do not enter. Proceed to your own risk. With that sign in place, whatever happens to them is entirely on them. I gave fair warning, but I know Tara. True to form, she can't resist the fantasy of living in a villa, driving luxury cars, being someone who matters. I leave without looking back, wheel my luggage onto the high-speed train, and the moment I'm seated, I pull up the camera feeds from every corner of the house. For a while, everything is still and quiet. A thought crosses my mind. What if being reborn has changed things? What if Tara doesn't come at all? Would all my preparations have been for nothing? Then again, I think, if Tara has turned over a new leaf in this life and chooses not to break in, then perhaps I don't need revenge at all. I can simply start fresh. As long as she stays out of my way, I have no particular desire to destroy her. I even start thinking about what to do with the tarantula, the corn snake, and that pond full of piranhas. I can't starve them. I can't leave them to terrify innocent people. But after lunch, when I check the feeds again, everything has changed. Tara hasn't disappointed me. She arrives with a locksmith from her village. For 200 yuan, the man pops my gate open without a second thought. Tara steps inside, looks around at the spotless interior, and her face lights up with delight. She hands the locksmith another 500 to replace the lock, and my high-end fingerprint lock is swapped out for a cheap, flimsy padlock. She pries the warning sign off the gate with a knife and tosses it into the drainage ditch without a second glance. What she doesn't know is that the camera under the eave has captured every single moment in crisp, clear detail. Once the locksmith is gone, she heads straight to the storeroom. The wine rack is full. The freezer is packed. She is overjoyed. She laughs out loud. All this food, my sister and the boys are going to eat like kings. Still laughing, she goes to the living room, switches on the underfloor heating, and settles into my sofa to watch my television. 2 hours later, she heads back out, almost certainly to collect Janet and the 2 boys. My train is pulling into the station. I close the camera feed, grab my luggage, and step off. The exit is packed. It's nearly New Year, and crowds stream through with bags full of holiday goods. The festive energy is everywhere. It's contagious, and I find myself walking with a lightness I haven't felt in a long time. My brother picks me up at the station, worried I haven't dressed warmly enough. He has brought a down jacket just for me. That warmth stays with me all the way home. I lie on my childhood bed and open the camera feeds. Tara has already brought back her sister Janet and her 2 notoriously unruly nephews, Felix and Leo, into my home. The moment Janet walks in, she starts gushing, "This place is incredible. Your ex is seriously loaded." Tara beams with pride. Of course he is. He's furious with me right now, sure. But if I just stay put and refuse to leave, eventually he'll come around when he gets back. Feelings grow with time. Janet doesn't see a single thing wrong with any of this. In fact, she offers Tara an even more underhanded suggestion. When he comes back, get him into bed, get pregnant. Someone else's will do too. Once there's a child, your family. And then this whole villa is as good as yours. Tara nods approvingly. You're always the smart one, sis. No wonder you walked away with 5 million from your divorce. With no one else around, Janet leans in and lets Tara in on a secret. My ex-husband has always believed the twins are his. Even after the divorce, he sends at least 20,000 a month in child support. But they're not his. They belong to an ex-boyfriend, a street thug I was seeing at the time. He and his brother are twins themselves. Twins run in his family. What a piece of work. She's been deceiving her ex-husband for years. I download the footage immediately and ask a friend to track down who Janet's ex-husband actually is. I intend to send him this recording. Consider it a good deed. No man should spend years being played for a fool. While the 2 sisters are deep in conversation, Felix wanders into the back courtyard to play. Spotting the massive water tank, he reaches his hand straight in, curiosity overpowering caution. My heart leaps to my throat. Alligator snapping turtles normally hibernate in winter, but this city sits in a region with no true cold season. These turtles are fully awake, and alligator snappers are ferocious by nature. But Felix is lucky. The turtle has only just arrived and hasn't settled in yet. Remarkably, it doesn't bite. Felix stares at the hulking creature in the tank and gets more excited, reaching in again and again to prod it. Finally, Felix pushes pushes his luck one too many times. Ah, my hand, Mom, help me. The camera is too far to capture the details clearly, but I can make out Tara and Janet rushing into the back courtyard. Janet takes one look at the water, now red with blood, and faints on the spot. Tara has more nerve. The tank is far too heavy to tip over, so she has no choice but to reach in herself, stealing every nerve she has, and plunge her hands into the water to grab the turtle clamped onto the back of Felix's hand. Lifted out of the water, the turtle rakes its razor-sharp claws repeatedly across Tara's hands, shredding them with deep bloody gashes. But the real terror is that the turtle will not let go of Felix. Frightened, it clamps down even harder. Felix is sobbing through the pain. Auntie, it hurts so much. Please help me. Tara dares not call the police, dares not call an ambulance, terrified of being exposed as a trespasser. To free Felix, she runs to the kitchen for a knife, intending to cut the turtle's head off. At that exact moment, I call her, buying time. Tara sees my name on the screen. Panicking at the thought of being found out, she abandons the still-crying Felix and picks up, forcing her voice into something resembling calm. Ethan, what made you think to call? She asks, breathless. I furrow my brow and lie smoothly. My neighbor says they spotted you lurking around my place. I'm warning you, don't give me a reason to come after you. Tara goes cold all over. No, impossible. Your neighbor must have been mistaken, she stammers. I have things to do. Goodbye. She hangs up. Tara reasons if the neighbors already spotted her, they need to lay low and stop going outside. Otherwise, I'll find out and the whole plan collapses. And then their new year is over before it begins. By the time she hangs up and rushes back to Felix, the turtle has finally released him, but as it lets go, it tears away a chunk of flesh from the back of his hand. Blood pours freely. Tara stares at Felix's hand. She does not take him to the hospital. She doesn't dare set foot outside, terrified that someone will discover she has broken into my home. Instead, she rummages through the basement until she finds a first aid kit. She pulls out the long-expired antiseptic and bandages inside, follows a tutorial on her phone, and dresses the grimacing boy's wound. What she doesn't realize is that those expired medications won't disinfect or stop the bleeding. They'll accelerate infection and make the wound rot. When she finally goes looking for the turtle to settle the score, the creature is long gone. The back courtyard has a decorative rockery, a recirculating fountain, and a ring of ornamental shrubs. Plenty of cover for a creature that knows how to disappear. Well played, old friend. Felix, in my past life, didn't just destroy my collectibles, he urinated in corners all over my house. Watching him get mauled by a snapping turtle feels like justice served. I feel deeply satisfied, but this is only the beginning. I have so many more gifts waiting for them. Tara cooks lunch with great generosity, pulling armfuls of items from the storeroom. Jumbo South American prawns, French red wine, frozen fish, frozen steaks. Make more, Janet calls out shamelessly from the sofa. I want plenty. Felix and Leo are growing boys. They need proper food. She keeps pushing for more, not out of genuine hunger, but because everything looks expensive. And eating expensive things for free feels like winning. Then I'll make plenty, Tara says, rolling up her sleeves. She reaches for my olive oil and pours it in like it costs nothing, until Janet catches a strange smell drifting from the pan and nearly gags. This oil smells off. Tara waves it away. Olive oil always smells like that. This is premium stuff. The flavor is just stronger, that's all. When the food hits the table, Janet takes a few bites and her expression darkens with every mouthful. The seafood tastes off. The steak's gone black. Don't tell me all of this has gone bad. Tara has worked up a real appetite cooking all of this. She takes a few bites, her sense of taste has never been sharp, and finds nothing wrong with any of it. Tastes fine to me, nothing's gone bad. Dig in. Janet refuses to touch another bite. Instead, she tips back the counterfeit wine in large gulps on an empty stomach. Tara assumes she's just being difficult and ignores her, eating steadily and enthusiastically on her own. Felix and Leo are children. They see Tara eating with gusto, and follow her lead without hesitation. Together they clear the entire table. About half an hour later, both boys start clutching their stomachs and making desperate runs to the bathroom. Janet, who drank heavily on an empty stomach, is moaning about dizziness and nausea, her face flushed an alarming shade of red. Tara is no better off. She alternates between dizzy spells and stomach cramps, making endless trips to the bathroom. Eventually, Janet can take no more. She bundles the two boys into a taxi in the middle of the night and heads for the hospital. Tara's condition is marginally less severe, but she spends the entire night in the bathroom and barely survives the ordeal. The next morning, she is utterly drained. She falls several times just trying to get from the bed to the bathroom. I watch it all with great amusement. By evening, Janet slinks back, dragging two visibly hollowed-out boys behind her, back to the villa. The two sisters waste no time tearing through every item in the storeroom. What they find stops them cold. Every bottle of wine is counterfeit. Every food item is expired. Tara collapses onto the sofa and mutters bitterly. I thought Ethan was supposed to be loaded. His wine rack is full of fakes. No wonder we felt so awful last night. Janet chimes in that the food was long past its use-by date too. No wonder my boys were sick all night. Ethan is absolutely outrageous. If I wasn't worried about raising suspicion, I'd confront him and make him pay our medical bills. Tara says there's an easier way to recoup their losses. He always buys luxury goods. Tomorrow we quietly sell off his designer things. Janet agrees immediately. Whatever they can think of, I have already thought of first. I have been ready for this. I am simply waiting for them to walk through my bedroom door. What is that smell? The moment Tara pushes open my bedroom door, she is hit by a wave of stench so vile it drives her back step by step. Naturally, I deliberately left them unwashed. Several pairs of socks, carefully cultivated to maximum potency. The smell is nothing short of catastrophic. Janet clamps her nose and retreats to a safe distance. When Tara steels herself and enters to hunt for the luxury goods, even with her nose covered, she can't stop dry heaving. A passerby might well think she was pregnant. She reaches deep into the wardrobe and finds not a single luxury item. Instead, something warm, furry, and very much alive, brushes across her hand. Tara recoils with a sharp gasp. Felix, peering in from the doorway, spots it first. His eyes go wide. "Auntie, there's a massive spider on your hand." Tara shakes her hand violently, desperate to fling it off. The tarantula, startled by the sudden movement, sinks its fangs into her finger, then skitters across her body and vanishes across the floor. That crawling furry sensation on her skin is the stuff of nightmares. For a long while, Tara stands rooted to the spot, shrieking, "Spider! There's a spider! Don't come near me, I'm terrified." Janet won't go anywhere near the room. She hovers in the hallway, craning her neck to see inside, while simultaneously pulling Leo back by the collar as he tries to rush in and see the commotion. Felix, rattled by Tara's screaming, joins in. "Ah, I'm scared of spiders too." The two of them howl and wail for what feels like an eternity before finally going quiet. Felix catches his breath and announces, "Auntie, I think the spider ran away." Tara's legs, which had felt like solid lead, finally agree to move again. She bolts from the room as if the floor is on fire and swears she will never set foot in there again. The camera captures everything clearly. Between her legs, a large dark patch. She has wet herself. After composing herself, Tara calls me. Her tone is carefully casual. "A friend mentioned you've been keeping pets lately. What kind? Are they venomous?" She wants numbers. She wants to know if they're dangerous. I give her nothing. "None of your business," I say flatly. "Don't call me unless you have a reason to. You're bad luck." I hang up. Venomous or not, how many? Let her lie awake wondering. Tara seethes, but there is nothing she can do. Ultimately, raw fear wins out. She spends 2,000 yuan at the hospital on anti-venom injections. Only then does she feel safe. But not knowing how many tarantulas are loose in the house means she now checks every room before entering, scanning every corner, every shadow, every crevice for signs of that enormous black spider. She is a nervous wreck, jumping at nothing, seeing things that aren't there. No amount of reassurance from Janet makes any difference. She refuses to enter my bedroom again, not for any amount of money. The thought of it waiting, in there, ready to bite her again, is more than she can bear. She asks Janet to go in instead. Janet flatly refuses. "I'm not going in there. Why should I risk my life?" Janet snaps, and Tara can only laugh bitterly at the absurdity. And with that, the matter is dropped entirely. Too afraid of being spotted by the neighbors during the day, they dare not step outside the villa, with the storeroom useless. Janet remembers spotting what looked like large fish lurking beneath the floating weeds in the front courtyard pond. "Let's catch them," Janet proposes. Tara agrees readily. "Perfect. It's New Year's Eve. Fish for lunch, then we sneak out for a proper dinner tonight." But they immediately hit a problem. Who is actually going to get into that pond? Tara's hands are covered in wounds from the turtle and the spider. She refuses to put them in the water. But the pond is wide, and without proper equipment, there is simply no way to catch anything from the edge. Janet, for her part, refuses to ruin her new dress in the murky water and won't budge. Felix, who has been happily yanking up my garden plants nearby, hears the debate and volunteers himself. "I want to catch fish. I'll go." Before anyone can stop him, he ignores the barely scabbed wound on his hand and jumps straight into the pond. Piranhas don't typically attack larger creatures unprovoked, unless that creature is bleeding. Piranhas are exquisitely sensitive to the scent of blood. The moment Felix's wounded hand breaks the surface, every piranha in the pond turns and descends on him, tearing into the injury without mercy. The sudden, overwhelming pain causes Felix to slip and plunge fully into the water. "Help, it hurts! These fish are eating me!" he screams, watching the wound being devoured before his eyes. Janet forgets entirely about her dress. She lunges forward and grabs Felix by the arm, straining to pull him out, but Felix is heavy, and one arm isn't enough. "Tara, get down here and help me pull him out." Janet looks at her desperately. "I'm terrified of those fish," Tara says, and crumbles on the spot, sinking to the ground in a useless heap. Janet summons every last ounce of strength she has, and hauls Felix out of the pond. By the time he is out, his injured hand is a raw, mangled mess, bone faintly visible through the torn flesh. "My poor boy, I'm getting you to the hospital right now," Janet cries. She reaches for her phone to call an ambulance. "No, you can't call an ambulance here," Tara snaps. "If they come to this address, our whole trespassing situation gets exposed. Is your online career worth nothing to you?" Tara blocks her, terrified of facing criminal charges. But Felix's hand, if left untreated any longer, may be permanently damaged. Janet thinks fast and lands on a compromise. She takes the ashen-faced Felix and hurries away from the villa as quickly as she can, putting distance between herself and the neighborhood, before hailing a taxi to the hospital from somewhere far enough away that no one can connect them to the villa. But they haven't made it far at all. When Janet's phone rings, it's Tara. Tara is sobbing. Something terrible has happened. Leo got into the study. A massive python is coiled around him. He can't breathe. He's going to die. I'm too scared to go near it. Janet's knees buckle. She collapses. Tara, utterly at a loss, finally does the only thing left to do. She calls the police and the ambulance. By now, all the arrogance she carried when she broke into my home is long gone. When the police call comes to tell me my home has been broken into, I am out in the yard grilling. By the time officers arrive on the scene, Felix's hand is so severely injured it has to be amputated. He is already in surgery. Leo has been pulled free from the python by the officers. He is badly shaken, rambling incoherently in broken fragments. Then the fever spikes. Janet has only fainted. Lucky, all things considered. Tara isn't so fortunate. The relentless shocks have driven her to the edge of madness. She speaks in wild, incoherent bursts, screaming about about spiders and pythons above all else. Something in her has clearly snapped. When Janet comes to, she accuses me of knowing they were coming and deliberately setting a trap. She demands I compensate them for every loss. The police ask me to assist with the investigation. I remotely pull the full surveillance footage from my home over those days and send it straight to the police. Who is in the wrong is plain to see. After reviewing the footage, they no longer require my in-person cooperation. Clearly, I bear no responsibility. I have simply kept a collection of non-venomous but formidable animals in my own home. Had they not ignored the warning signs I posted on the door and forced their way in, none of this would have happened. Not only will I not be compensating them, I will be demanding they compensate me for the damage done to my property. I retain an attorney. Every negotiation with Janet goes through him. Leave the professional work to the professionals. The next day, my attorney tells me Janet has threatened multiple times to sue me into bankruptcy. But he also says that in this situation, they are clearly the ones at fault. As the homeowner, I've already fulfilled my duty to warn. A judge will most likely rule in my favor, or at most require a nominal humanitarian gesture. That puts my mind at ease. My evidence is solid. I welcome the lawsuit and have my attorney relay a message to Janet. Take me to court whenever she pleases. Then I move first, blurring the faces in the surveillance footage and posting it online before Janet can, cutting off any chance she has of playing the victim for public sympathy. Even with the faces blurred, Janet has a small following as an online influencer. A handful of viewers recognize her by her silhouette alone. Word spreads that Janet is one of the people in the footage. Commenters flood her old videos. Didn't she claim to be from a wealthy family? And she's breaking into people's homes? What was ever real? Both sisters are gold diggers. Disgusting. They got exactly what they deserve. And she has the nerve to demand compensation from the homeowner? She trashes the man's house. And thank goodness he kept those animals, otherwise that beautiful property would have been left in ruins. The public turns on Janet, but I am not finished. While the story is still trending, I post the video exposing that Kyle had unknowingly raised another man's children. I don't have to go looking for him. That very night, Kyle drives straight to the hospital ward, where Felix and Leo are admitted. The public reaction spreads faster than I anticipated. After I released the footage of Janet admitting the twins were not Kyle's, the view count breaks 1 million in a single night. The comments section is a feeding frenzy. Someone even digs up Kyle's full background. Kyle was the owner of a building materials company, quite wealthy, and famously proud. He had plastered his social media with photos of his twin boys, constantly boasting that great fathers raise great sons. Every single post is now a punchline. I put my phone down and freshen up briefly. The show has begun, and what kind of director misses opening night? I changed deliberately into a black coat that says plainly "Don't try me," then drive to the city hospital. I haven't even reached the orthopedic ward when I hear it. Janet's piercing wail cutting through the corridor, punctuated by the crash of something shattering. Kyle, just listen to me. That video was fabricated. Ethan did it to get back at me. He faked the whole thing. The hallway is packed, patients and their families, all craning for a better view. The head nurse is frantic, drenched in sweat, unable to push through the crowd. I part the crowd and find myself an excellent vantage point. Inside, the room is in ruins. The Kyle who used to strut across Janet's social media, confident, prosperous, now stands red-faced, veins bulging at his neck. He grips and stand like a weapon. Janet is on her knees, hair disheveled, arms locked around Kyle's leg, refusing to let go. That carefully maintained face is swollen beyond recognition. She has clearly just been struck. On one bed, Felix lies unconscious, fresh from his amputation surgery. On the other, Leo sobs hysterically, trembling under the blankets. And as for my ex, Tara, she is hunched in the corner, staring blankly at the ceiling, muttering obsessively, "Spiders, big spiders." Kyle, seething with rage, lets out a short, hollow laugh, the kind that comes when fury tips into contempt. He shoves Janet away with one kick. A video can be faked? Can a paternity test? He reaches into his briefcase and flings a stack of documents across the room. They hit Janet square in the face. White pages explode into the air, then drift down to the floor like snow. The moment I saw that video last night, I had the test rush through. They used the hair and toothbrush you left at my place. The results are right there. Look for yourself. Those two share not one drop of my blood. Kyle's voice carries across the entire floor. I raised another man's sons for 8 years, $20,000 a month in support. Bought you a house, bought you a car. Janet, you played me for an absolute fool. Janet stares at the paternity test results scattered across the floor. All resistance drains out of her. She collapses completely. She grabs at Kyle's trouser leg, trembling. We were married. Doesn't that count for something, even if the boys aren't yours? We had something real, didn't we? Felix lost his hand. He needs money for treatment. You can't abandon us. Get your hands off me. Kyle steps back in disgust, as though she were something contaminated. I came here for 3 things. He holds up 3 fingers, his eyes cold and merciless. First, that property in your name. I put down the deposit. I paid the mortgage. I've already contacted my attorney to file for an asset freeze. Get out immediately. Second, every cent of child support I've paid over the past 8 years, including the $5 million settlement I gave you at the divorce, I am suing to recover. That's unjust enrichment. That's fraud. I don't just want the money back. I want you behind bars. Third, Kyle turns and looks coldly at the 2 boys in the hospital beds. The warmth that once filled his eyes is gone. Only revulsion remains. From today, I will not pay a single cent toward those boys' medical bills. I just had the $50,000 pre-deposit refunded at the payment counter. That last point breaks her. Janet lets out a scream of pure despair. No, Kyle, you can't do this. Felix needs another $100,000 or more in follow-up care. If you pull the funds, the hospital will stop treatment. You're sentencing us to death. Sentencing you? Kyle gives a cold laugh and straightens his slightly rumpled jacket. That's not my problem. Go find their real father, whoever that lowlife is. He turns to leave. Janet lunges at him in desperation, but his bodyguard shoves her back hard. She crashes into the bedside cabinet. Blood wells immediately from her forehead. At that moment, I, having enjoyed the spectacle from the doorway, begin to clap. Slowly, deliberately, magnificent, truly magnificent. The unexpected applause freezes the room. Every head turns. Janet presses her hand to her bleeding forehead. Blood runs down her cheek. She looks like something out of a nightmare. The moment she sees me, the hatred in her eyes becomes almost tangible. "Ethan!" she screams and lunges toward me. "You did this! You destroyed my family! I'll kill you!" She never reaches me. A slight sidestep and she stumbles past. I trip her and she goes down. I stand over her unhurried, my voice perfectly calm. "You can eat whatever you like, but watch what you say. You were the one who cheated on your husband. You were the one who led your whole family into my home illegally, driven by sheer greed. How is any of that my fault?" Kyle catches my eye. Some of the tension leaves his face, replaced by something complicated. Gratitude, perhaps. After all, had it not been for my video, he would have spent a lifetime as a fool footing someone else's bill. "Thanks, man," he says. As he passes me, he gives my shoulder a firm pat. "You're no saint either, but I owe you one." I smile. "Don't mention it, Kyle. I was simply protecting what was mine." Kyle gives a short grunt, gathers his people, and leaves without looking back. With her financial lifeline gone, Janet's last hope evaporates. She lies face down on the floor, pounding it with her fists, sobbing without restraint. On the bed, Leo weeps so hard he is nearly convulsing. And in the corner, Tara keeps clawing at the air, as though invisible spiders are swarming all around her. The onlookers murmur and point. "So that's the gold digger. Serves her right. The kids aren't even his. What a rotten thing to do. Did you hear him say he's suing to get the support payments back? Now they have nothing, and a mountain of debt on top of it." I don't leave. I walk over to Janet and crouch down beside her. "Stop crying," I say calmly. "Save your strength. Kyle is pulled out and I'm not here to offer charity. My attorney has already calculated everything your family damaged in my home." I pull a long document from my pocket and hold it in front of her face. "Here's the list. The wine you drank, the food you consumed, the antique vase you smashed, the carpet you ruined, and most critically, the collectible figurines you destroyed. Preliminary valuation, approximately 3,600,000 yuan. Janet's head snaps up. Her eyes go wide. 3.6 million? Have you lost your mind? A few cheap plastic figures are worth that much? Cheap plastic figures? I laugh coldly. Those were limited edition, out-of-print collectibles, priceless on the secondary market. I've had a certified appraisal done. The court will recognize every figure on that list. And given that you clearly have no means to pay, I let the words hang deliberately, then lean close to her ear, and speak in a voice only she can hear. "I hear that ex of yours, the one who ran with the street crew, the real father of these two boys, was just released from prison. What do you think he'd do if he found out he had two grown sons and a well-off ex waiting for him?" Janet's pupils contract sharply. Her whole body trembles. She knows exactly who that man is. He was her nightmare, a rotten human being through and through. Once he latched on, you couldn't shake him. A leech. She'd spent years clawing her way free from him, only to land Kyle as a replacement. "What are you going to do?" Janet's voice is saturated with fear, more afraid now than she was facing Kyle. "Do." I stand and brush imaginary dust from my lapel. "I just think family is family, and a family ought to be whole. Since Kyle wants nothing to do with these boys, someone has to step up as their father, don't you think? You're not human, Ethan. You're a monster." Janet lets out a wretched scream. I don't acknowledge the abuse behind me. I turn and walk out of that ward, thick with the smell of antiseptic and despair. Outside, the sunlight is sharp. I take a slow breath, pull out my phone and dial. A number a private investigator had tracked down for me. "Zach?" I keep my voice warm and easy. "Heard you're looking for an opportunity. I've got something big about your old flame, Janet. Two grown sons and a pile of money, just waiting for you." A coarse, greedy voice comes through the line, set against the clatter of mahjong tiles. "Yeah? Who is this?" "Doesn't matter who I am. What matters is Janet's at the city hospital right now. Orthopedics Ward 3. Wait too long and someone else gets there first." I hang up and watch the traffic lights blinking in the distance. A cold smile settles on my lips. "Janet, Tara, you think this is over? No, this is just the beginning. You like taking what isn't yours? You like treating people like fools? Then let me give you a gift. The dog is off the leash. Are you ready to welcome your family?" I'm in no hurry. I settle into a seat in the hospital lobby, order a hot coffee, and drink it at my leisure. About 20 minutes later, a commotion erupts at the entrance. A man in a loud floral shirt and tight jeans, face thick with the kind of hardness that comes from years of rough living, a dragon tattoo crawling over his shoulder, swaggers in, cursing under his breath. Behind him trail two bleach blonde sidekicks rolling in with that boneless street strut, the kind of men you recognize on sight. This is Zach. I pull my cap down low and watch these three attack dogs make their way to the elevators without any hesitation. I have already done them the courtesy. The floor number and room number, delivered personally over the phone. I take out my phone and connect to the miniature Bluetooth earpiece I had accidentally left near Janet's ward door. The sounds that follow are deeply satisfying. By the sound of it, the ward door has been kicked clean off its hinges. "Which one of you is Janet? Get out here, now!" Zach's gravelly roar detonates through the earpiece. Janet's terrified scream follows immediately. "Zach, how did you find me? Who told you I was here? Shut your mouth." Zach has no patience for questions. "Word is you had two of my kids, and squeeze 5 million out of that rich ex of yours. Hand it over." "I don't have it. The money's being clawed back. Just go. Please, just leave." "No money?" A sharp crack rings through the earpiece, the unmistakable sound of a slap. I wince on her behalf. "I just walked out of prison and my luck's been garbage. And you're telling me you're broke? That gold chain around your neck looks heavy enough. Take it off." The ward erupts into chaos. Janet's cries, Leo's screams, the crash and clatter of things being overturned, all of it tangled together. "That's all I have left. You can't take it. Felix still needs surgery." "Surgery for what?" Zach sneers. "Kid's already missing a hand. He'll be useless grown up." cut your losses now. Now this one, a pause, he looks decent enough. Could come with me, earn his keep. I can't help but laugh quietly to myself. So this is the great love Janet had fought so hard to bear children for. In her eyes, Kyle was always the fool footing the bill. Zach was her idea of a real man. Well, her real man has come to give her a lesson. Don't you touch my children, you animal. Get out of the way. More sounds of violence. Dull thuds, Janet's muffled groans. At that moment, Tara, who has been lost in her own world, seems to register Zach's brutality. Whether from fear or some raw instinct, she suddenly screams, "Spiders! Huge black spiders! They'll bite you to death!" She grabs the thermos from the table and hurls it straight at Zach. It misses, but the scalding water drenches him on impact. What the? Who is this crazy woman? Zach explodes in fury. You dare throw that at me? Boys, beat her until she stops. In that moment, the ward becomes a genuine hellscape. Janet and Tara, the pair who once carried themselves with insufferable arrogance, who used to look down on me without a second thought, are now being set upon by three thugs, utterly helpless. Nurses and security arrive quickly, but against a man like Zach, freshly released and immune to shame, no one dares intervene directly. They stand at the door and shout that the police have been called. Zach isn't remotely concerned. I'm disciplining my own family. This is a domestic matter. What are the police going to do to me? He isn't entirely wrong. In many situations, police find these cases difficult. At most, a few days in detention. For someone like Zach, a detention center is practically a free hotel. As the pleading through my earpiece grows quieter and more desperate, I know the timing is right. This dog-eat-dog spectacle has not only shattered Janet's last psychological defenses, it has stripped away the final shred of dignity that allows them to survive in this city. I remove the earpiece, drop it in the nearest bin, and walk out of the hospital. Across the street, in a quiet cafe, a man in a tailored suit and gold-rimmed glasses sits by the window, turning through documents with unhurried ease. His name is Preston, a celebrated criminal law strategist, and the top-tier attorney I've retained at considerable expense. His signature line, "Pay me enough, and I'll find fault with the devil's own ledger." Sorry to keep you waiting, Preston. I take the seat across from him. He adjusts his glasses and offers a measured, professional smile. "Mr. Ethan, I've reviewed everything you sent me. It's perfect. This is not merely a civil tort matter. We have every basis to pursue this as a full criminal case." He slides several documents across the table. Criminal trespass. Surveillance clearly shows they picked the lock to gain entry and then replaced it, and they occupied the property for an extended period. Intent is unmistakable. Second, grand theft. They sold your luxury goods without authorization, consumed premium wines, used high-end provisions. The amounts involved are substantial. Based on your damage assessment list, this qualifies as an exceptionally large sum under the criminal code. The minimum sentence starts at 10 years. Third, malicious destruction of property. The collectible figurines, an antique vase, were of significant value, and the evidence of deliberate damage is clear. Preston's fingers tap the table in a slow, rhythmic beat, like a quiet tolling of the bell for the Song Sisters. As for the child's injury, you posted clear warning signs at the entrance and had surveillance installed. You fulfilled your duty of notice. As unlawful intruders, any injuries they sustained on your property as a result of their own actions carry no liability on your part whatsoever. On the contrary, we can countersue for their failure to supervise, which caused distress to your animals and damage to your pond ecosystem. I feel a deep, clean satisfaction listening to him. This is expertise. This is what it means to strike at the root. There's more, I add. The man upstairs, Zach, is the biological father of those two boys. He just paid a visit to the ward. He took Janet's last pieces of jewelry by force and assaulted them both. I thought that might be useful. Preston's eyes light up behind his lenses. Now that's interesting. If we can establish Zach as an accomplice or implicate him in robbery, this fire burns considerably hotter. He draws a thick document from his briefcase. He hands me a pen. "Mr. Ethan, one signature from you, and this indictment goes directly to the court and the Public Security Bureau. I will file for an asset freeze, freezing every account in their names and barring them from leaving the country. And given the scale of the amounts involved, the authorities will move swiftly to impose criminal detention measures. In other words, they will be transferring from a hospital ward to a detention cell." I take the pen, look at the sharp tip for a brief moment, and sign without hesitation. "I'll leave it in your hands, Preston." I stand and shake his hand firmly. Money is not a concern. Legal costs are not an issue. I have only one requirement. My expression turns cold. I want them to rot in that cell. I want them to know some doors are not meant to be opened. Some people are not meant to be crossed. Preston smiles and nods, his expression equal parts cold and certain. "As you wish. In this arena, I am the hunter." As I step out of the cafe, I see several police vehicles pull up outside the hospital, lights flashing. But I know these officers have not come to rescue Janet. They have come to put her in handcuffs. The harder Zach rages upstairs, the worse Janet's situation becomes. And the moment the officers run the IDs and discover the Song Sisters are wanted in connection with a massive theft, I can't hold back a laugh. Janet, the moment you think you've grabbed a lifeline, only to find it is a noose, what expression will be on your face? My phone buzzes, a message from the property management office. "Mr. Ethan, a large crowd has gathered outside your villa. They claim to be relatives of the injured child. They've put up a banner demanding justice, and someone is live streaming. It seems Janet hasn't given up yet. She is making one final attempt to weaponize public opinion. What she doesn't know is that, in the eyes of the public, she is no longer the pitiful single mother mother, she is a punchline. No matter, I type back. Let them make noise, the louder the better. Because what is coming next, Preston's legal notice and the police warrant, will be the finest gift her livestream audience has ever witnessed. When I drive back to the villa, I can see the crowd from a distance. A wall of people, a dozen or so shameless traffic-hungry outlets with cameras jostling for position, plus several influencers holding up phones already live. In the center of it all, a white banner with black characters. Heartless rich man, keeps vicious animals, injures innocent child, justice must be served. Beneath it stands Janet, head wrapped in thick bandages, bruises still vivid on her face, weeping for the cameras with practiced devastation. Everyone please, stand up for me. That man Ethan kept piranhas and a python in his home just to get back at me. My son is only 8 years old. His hand was severed. He's still unconscious in the hospital, and Ethan won't pay a single cent toward his care. She weeps with the commitment of an award-winning actress. Yes, we used to be together. I admit I made mistakes, but he can't try to kill my entire family. This is murder, cold-blooded murder. Beside her, Zach is equally busy. He has clearly decided to treat this as a business opportunity. Shirtless, his tattoos on full display, an iron rod in hand, he hammers against my gate in steady thunderous blows. Ethan, you coward, get out here! Zach bellows at the cameras. Your money doesn't make you untouchable. Pay $10 million today or I tear this place apart brick by brick. The livestream comments flood in. Self-righteous commenters who don't know the full story are outraged. That poor child, he's innocent. What kind of sick person keeps piranhas? He needs to pay and go to prison. Watching this carnival of chaos unfold before me, I feel no anger, only amusement. Preston, seated beside me, adjusts his glasses and glances out the window. Mr. Ethan, it appears they are digging their own graves. Unlawful assembly, incitement, extortion. Add that to the existing charges. Not even a miracle could save them now. Then let's not keep the audience waiting. I push open the door and step out. 4 police vehicles pull up directly behind me. Red and blue lights slicing through the dusk. The crowd goes still. Police, stand back. A commanding voice cuts through the noise. The chaos dissolves in an instant. As officers stream out of the vehicles, the live streaming influencers stumble backward in fright. Janet spots me. A flash of panic crosses her face, but greed replaces it almost immediately. She assumes the police have been pressured by public opinion to come for me. Officers, it's him. Janet points and screams. He's the one who hurt my son. Arrest him. Zach plants his iron rod on the ground and swaggers forward with a smirk. Well, finally showed your face. Smart move would be to hand over the money. Otherwise what? I look at him without expression, my stride unbroken. I walk straight past him and stop in front of Janet. Cameras from every direction point at my face. I don't flinch. I turn to the nearest live streaming phone and offer a clean, composed smile. Good evening, everyone. Since we have an audience, let's settle this account right here, in front of the entire internet. I step aside. Preston strides forward, briefcase in hand, commanding the space entirely. I am the legal counsel for Mr. Ethan. My name is Preston. His voice is not loud, but every word lands with precision, carrying the unmistakable weight of professional authority. He draws a document bearing an official red seal from his briefcase and holds it directly in front of the cameras. Regarding the matter of Miss Janet, Miss Tara, and their associates unlawfully entering my client's residence, the police have formally opened a criminal investigation. This is the official case notification. The crowd erupts. Janet's sobbing stops dead. The color drains from her face. That's a lie. I was his girlfriend. How is going to my own boyfriend's home trespassing? I cut her off coldly. After I had explicitly refused you entry and changed the locks, you hired a locksmith and forced your way in. Every second of it is on surveillance footage. Preston continues seamlessly. Under Article 245 of the Criminal Code, unlawful entry into another person's residence carries a sentence of up to 3 years, but that is merely the opening charge. He produces the second document, the full damage assessment list. Ms. Janet, during your unlawful occupation of the property, you stole and sold my client's luxury goods and wine, valued at 1,200,000 yuan. You maliciously destroyed out-of-print collectible figurines and antiques, valued at 3,600,000 yuan. Total, 4,800,000 yuan, classified as an exceptionally large sum. Under the law, the minimum sentence is 10 years. Each figure falls like a hammer blow. The scene goes dead quiet. The commenters who had been condemning me moments before reverse completely. 4.8 million? That's not a breakup dispute. That's armed robbery. They picked the lock, lived there for 20 days, and then demanded compensation from the owner? What kind of logic is that? Who was calling the kid innocent a minute ago? He destroyed millions of yuan worth of collectibles. Serves her right. Janet trembles all over. She hadn't expected me to actually go to the police, let alone have the figures this precisely calculated. She turns frantically to Zach. What do we do? Zach hears 4,800,000 and his eyes glaze over, but he is as legally illiterate as he is reckless. His instinct isn't to run. It is. This man is loaded. To hell with the law! Zach erupts. He swings the iron rod in my direction. I don't care about your tricks. My son lost his hand, that's a fact. Pay up today, or I'll kill you. He is genuinely attempting to attack me in front of uniformed officers. Freeze, drop the rod. The officers have anticipated exactly this. The instant Zach moves, 3 tactical officers are on him at once. Get off me, Zach thrashes, but his street fighting skills are nothing against trained restraint technique. A sharp crack and his arm is pinned behind his back. Cold handcuffs snap shut. The lead officer steps forward. Zach, is it? We received a call from the hospital. You're suspected of assault and robbery. Now we can add armed assault on officers and extortion. Take him. I'm the father. I'm owed compensation. It's only right. You've got no business arresting me. Zach is still raging as he is loaded into the police vehicle, but the door shuts and swallows every word. With Zach dealt with, the officers turn toward Janet, who has already crumpled to the ground. Janet, you are suspected of criminal trespass and grand theft. You are hereby placed under criminal detention. The handcuffs click shut around her wrists. In that moment, she finally understands. It is over. No, please don't take me. Janet breaks down completely. She looks at me, eyes pleading. Ethan, I know I was wrong. I never should have gone to your home. Please say something to the officers. It was all a misunderstanding, all of it. If I go to prison, what happens to Felix and Leo? Watching her like this, I feel nothing, not a ripple. A misunderstanding? I crouch down and meet her eyes. When you pried open my door, drank my wine, destroyed what I had built, and tried to claim my home as your own, did the word misunderstanding ever cross your mind? As for the children, I lean in close and lower my voice. Don't worry, the state has welfare homes. Given the parents they were born to, a children's welfare home may well be the best place for them. Take her. I stand and give a dismissive wave, as though shooing away something insignificant. Janet is escorted to a police vehicle by 2 female officers. Her cries grow fainter with distance, and finally dissolve into the night. The vehicles roar away, taking all the noise with them. Outside the villa, nothing remains but wreckage on the ground, and a crowd that hasn't yet processed what they have just witnessed. Preston adjusts his glasses and glances at his phone. Mr. Ethan, public sentiment online has reversed completely. Your performance just now was flawless. The top trending topic is a masterclass in dismantling moral blackmail. I glance at my phone. The live stream is still running, but I have no interest in it any longer. Preston, everything from here is yours to handle. I look at the villa, familiar yet somehow altered. It has been violated, but from now on it will be clean. I will not accept any settlement of any kind. I will not accept any letter of apology. I want the maximum sentence. Preston gives a slight bow. Understood. I will ensure they have ample time behind bars to reflect on their choices and spend the rest of their lives repaying that 4,800,000 yuan. I turn and walk into the yard. The pond has been drained. The piranhas, who served their purpose admirably, have been taken in by a friend, but standing before that empty pool, I can still picture Felix's face the moment he fell in. Pure terror. Is it finally over? No. I still have one gift left to deliver. To Tara, currently performing madness in the psychiatric ward. They say every time she closes her eyes, she sees spiders. Then let me show her what a truly inescapable web looks like.